All right, Shabbat Shalom, everyone, again. We're in Matthew chapter 9, verse 14. Matthew chapter 9, verse 14. Thank you. 14 to 17. It says, Then John's disciples came to him, saying, Why do we and the Pharisees fast often, but your disciples don't fast? Yahusha said to them, Can the friends of the bridegroom mourn as long as the bridegroom is with them? Love it. But the days will come when the bridegroom will be taken away from them, and then they will fast. No one puts a piece of unshrunk cloth on an old garment, for the patch would tear away from the garment, and a worse hole is made. Neither do people put new wine into old wineskins, or else the skins would burst, and the wine be spilled, and the skins ruined. No, they put new wine into fresh wineskins, and both are preserved. So you sure we stop there? It's a whole different thing. All right. Let's see if we can find a cross-reference for this story. I'd like to read it from the other gospel. Mark chapter 2, verse 18. Mark chapter 2, verse 18. John's disciples and the Pharisees were fasting, and they came and asked, Why do John's disciples and the disciples of the Pharisees fast, but your disciples don't fast? Yahusha said to them, Can the groomsmen fast while the bridegroom is with them? As long as they have the bridegroom with them, they can't fast. But the days will come when the bridegroom will be taken away from them, and then they will fast in that day. No one sews a piece of unshrunk cloth on an old garment, or else the patch shrinks and the new tears away from the old, and a worse hole is made. No one puts new wine into old wineskins, or else the new wine will burst. The skins and the wine pours out, and the skins will be destroyed, but they put new wine into fresh wineskins. There's a lot I want to say on this, but I'm trying to hold off for now. Luke 5:37. See. Yeah, I'll start at 33. Luke 5, chapter 30, verse 33. Luke chapter 5, verse 33, all the way to the bottom. They said to him, Why do John's disciples often fast and pray? They put pray there, you see. Likewise, also the disciples of the Pharisees, but yours eats and drink. He said to them, Can you make the friends of the bridegroom fast while the bridegroom is with them? But the days will come when the bridegroom will be taken away from them. Then they will fast in those days. He also told the parable to them. No one puts a piece from a new garment on an old garment, or else he will tear the new, and also the piece from the new will not match the old. No one puts new wine into old wineskins, or else the new wine will burst the skins, and it will be spilled, and the skins will be destroyed. But new wine must be put into fresh wineskins, and both are preserved. No man, having drunk old wine, immediately desires new, for he says the old is better. Wow, that verse 39 is different than all of them, right? Let's start with the first part of this, the fasting. I did a video on this on Romans Look up my Romans chapter 14 study on YouTube. We break down the issue that was going on in Romans chapter 14. There are weak brothers saying that you must only eat vegetables. And then there are the more mature brothers saying, no, we can eat all things. And they're fighting each other and despising one another over this topic. And Paul is coming in to say, you know, don't despise one another. And then it goes into eating and not eating, and one regards a day better more than another. And I believe that that passage is talking about fasting, that they're, just like you see here, it is evident that the Pharisees, even John's disciples, choose days to fast. They have days where they choose to fast. Some get real religious about it, where if you don't do it on that day, then you're going to be looked down upon, just like it's happening right here. Why aren't your disciples fasting? And the Pharisees and John's disciples do. Okay. I was brought up in a church where there were spontaneous Sundays where they would fast. And if you wasn't fasting on that Sunday, if they saw you eating, you got the ugliest looks, and some would talk about you behind your back. They would gossip. There's a lot of gossip in that church, Pentecostal church. Ooh, did you see brother so-and-so eating that bread? You know, it's like, am I sinning because I didn't fast, you know, on the same day you chose? That's what's going on here. So, but here, the answer to Yahusha's question, to the question they gave Yahusha was, I love this part. Can you make the friends of the bridegroom fast while the bridegroom is with them? But the days will come when the bridegroom will be taken away from them. Then they will fast in those days. Yahusha is calling himself the bridegroom. I love that. This in and of itself should be blasphemous to any Torah, law, and prophet observant person that doesn't know and understand who Yahusha is. There's only one bridegroom to a people in the Old Testament, and that's Yahuwah. Yahuwah is the husband. He's the husband to Israel. And here he is using this marital language to a people. Now he's calling his disciples his people, which would make sense because the ones that follow Yahusha would be, those are his people. Those are the ones doing the will of the Father, the ones who, the sheep that follow the shepherd. So even if you're an Israelite physically and you don't follow this shepherd, you're not the sheep. You're lost sheep. So there's oneness here. You can go on my channel and look up my playlist on the oneness of Yahuwah and Yahusha. My greatest, my most strongest topic to defend the oneness between Yahuwah and Yahusha being the same person is the marital language. The fact that Yahusha is the husband of the assembly, which is Israel in the New Testament, and Yahuwah is the husband of Israel in the Old. And so how do you marry the two together? Is it a contradiction or is it confirmation? I believe it's confirmation. Yahuwah becomes a man known as Emmanuel, El with us. That's Yahusha. Yahusha is El with us. It is Yahuwah in the flesh. John 1:1, in the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Verse 14, then the Word became flesh and dwelled among us. He made his tent to dwell amongst us. Made his abode amongst us humans. Okay? Yahuwah came down, took on flesh. He died. The husband died, according to Romans chapter 7. When the husband dies, the wife is free, is not bound to that marriage covenant anymore. She's not bound to that marriage law anymore if the husband dies. And Romans 7 breaks it down that because he resurrected and he's alive, the bride, Israel, can be married again. So beautiful, beautiful language here. All right. Then obviously Book of Revelation. We're all heading towards the wedding supper of the Lamb. It's a big theme in the Book of Revelation. Okay, you can't miss it. verse 36 of Luke 5. I'm just sticking with Luke 5 since Luke is the last thing I read. No one puts a piece from a new garment on an old garment, or else he will tear the new, and also the piece from the new will not match the old. Man, I wish Yahusha would break this down. I'm not sure if he does in the Gospels. If anybody knows about it, let me know. Jeff, I'm going to put your hand down because I'm not sure if that's new or old. Let me know if that was new. Just put the hand back up. But if anybody could find a breakdown of verse 36, let me know. So since there's no breakdown, it leaves us open to guesstimate. Okay? I'm not going to make a doctrine out of it, but I'm going to guesstimate what he's saying. No one puts a piece from a new piece of garment on an old garment, or as he will tear the new garment, and also the piece from the new will not match the old. Okay, the other ones say that it will rip and everything like that. So obviously you got to make a hole in the garment to sew it on to another piece. That's the hole. And then once it rips off the old garment, because the old garment is frail and deteriorating, it can't withhold, it can't sustain that new garment on it. So it rips, and then now the hole that you made in the new one to attach it to the old now is damaged. Okay. What does this mean? What comes to my mind, new and old, all I can think about is the covenant. I don't know what else to think about. You got to share with me, give me your thoughts, but there is a reality to old and new when it comes to covenant. If you read Jeremiah chapter 31, verse 31 to 33, it uses the language, a new covenant. Some people say renewed covenant, whatever, same difference. It's not the old, right? It's saying a renewed covenant, not like, let's go to it. Not like he did with, that language, not like, means whatever is coming is different. Okay? So what's going on here? What are we trying to match here? What's the old garment and what's the new garment representing? I don't know, maybe it's talking about a new group of people with the new covenant, new vessels. I'm not sure. You got some thoughts on this?
Just questions.
Questions. Yeah, all we can do is just guesstimate. We're just having fun right now.
I'm just wondering if my thought goes, why would the Pharisees or the disciples of the Pharisees or Yohanan's disciples be fasting? Was it because they were fasting because they're mourning and desiring the Messiah to come? And he's saying, well, I'm here, so my disciples don't have to fast, but I will be gone. And at that point, they have to fast because they're going to want me to come back. So I'm just wondering if what's the why behind it? And he's saying, you guys are still in the old, not fully understanding that the Messiah is right before you right now. So I'm just wondering, because that scripture always I haven't looked into it, to be honest.
Yeah. Anybody else? No. So I don't know. I feel like this is definitely verse 37 about the wine and old wineskins. We can get into that, but it's almost like, I think I was talking off record. If you got people trying to believe in Yahuwah the Father without embracing Yahusha and the new covenant, you can't try to worship the Creator under an old covenant when that old covenant is null and void. It is null and void. How is it null and void? Romans chapter 7 lets us know that when a husband dies, the law, that wife is not bound to that law anymore. She is free to marry whomever she wishes. She's not bound. So the husband, Yahuwah, died. So if you're trying to worship Yahuwah, the Creator, under an old covenant, It's not going to work. I guess it's like, I don't know which one to put there. It's like the old garment is the old covenant, and you would be the new patch of cloth. You're the new patch of cloth on the old covenant. It's not going to work. You need to go on new garment. Okay? New patch to new garment. That will stick. That will stay on there. As long as the new garment lasts, the new patch will last. But the old patch of garment is older, so it's not going to last as long. It's going to rip quicker than the new patch you put on there. That new patch is going to last long, but it's not going to do any good because the old patch is going to rip. I don't know. I'm just having fun with this conversation right now, just thinking about it. Okay? But that's kind of some thoughts in my mind. Verse 37, no one puts new wine into old wineskins, or else the new wine would burst the skins, and it will be spilled, and the skins will be destroyed. But new wine must be put into fresh wine skins. New and new. New and new. The wine, many times in scripture, is referred to as the Ruach, I guess. The Ruach HaKodesh, his spirit being poured out on all flesh. New, in a new way. Back to Jeremiah 31 real quick. See if it mentions that. Behold, the days come, says Yahuwah, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel, with the house of Yahudah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the land in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, Mitzrayim, which covenant of mine they broke. So that's the sign of the broken cloth. That's why it needs a patch, a broken covenant. You got Old Testament only folk, Old Testament Israelite, Tanakh only Israelites, trying to stay under a broken covenant when that covenant's not even in effect anyway, because the husband died. Like I said, the husband became flesh and died and resurrected from the dead, but they're still trying to stay under the broken covenant. But this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, says Yahuwah. I will put my law in their hearts. I will write it in their heart. He can't do the new thing he's trying to do with us if we're still trying to apply the old. If we're still trying to stay with the old, he can't really do the new thing that he's doing in us. I'm just having fun, y'all. This ain't a doctrine. I'm not making a doctrine out of this. I'm just having fun right now. All right. I'm trying to make some sense to this. I will put my law in their inward parts, and I will write it on their heart. I will be their God, and they will be my people. All right. And then the last one, no man having drunk old wine immediately desires new, for he says the old is better. Sometimes people stick with what they're familiar with. You know, I don't know. 39, old wine is better. So I don't know. This one to me is a twist to everything that was just said. I don't have a clue why 39 was put in there. It's a little twist. Because the other story where Yahusha made wine, he made wine that was new, and if I'm not mistaken, people thought it was better than the last wine that was brought out. Usually the last wine is the best wine. They save the best for last. But here something is made fresh in it. Am I getting that right? Let's read it. Let's go. Let's read it. Yeah, let's go to it real quick. Water wine. John 2. John chapter 2. So here we go. Verse 1. John chapter 2, verse 1. The third day, there was a wedding in Cana of Galilee. Yahusha's mother was there. Yahusha also was invited with his disciples to the wedding. When the wine ran out, Yahusha's mother said to him, "They have no wine." Yahusha said to her, "Woman, what does that have to do with you and me? My hour has not yet come." This is a whole nother. Wow. His mother said to the servants, "Whatever he says to you, do it." Now there were 6 water pots of stone set there after the Yahudim's way of purifying, containing 2 or 3 matrites, which is like gallons. Let's see. 2 to 3 matrites is about 20 to 30 U.S. gallons. All right. It's about 20 to 30 U.S. gallons a piece. So containing, what is it? 6 water pots containing about 20 to 30 gallons. Verse 7, Yahusha said to them, "Fill the water pots with water." So they filled them up to the brim. He said to them, "Now draw some out and take it to the ruler of the feast." So they took it. When the ruler of the feast tasted the water, now become wine, and didn't know where it came from, but the servants who had drawn the water knew, the ruler of the feast called the bridegroom and said to him, "Everyone serves the good wine first." The good one first. My wife was right. I was wrong. The good one is served first. And when the guests have drunk freely, then that which is worse. Did I read this? This sentence is messing me up. Everyone serves the good wine first, and when the guests have drunk freely, then that which is worse. You have kept the good wine until now. This beginning of his signs Yahusha did in Cana of Galilee and revealed his glory, and his disciples believed in him. Wow. Trying to wrap my brain around this right now. They usually get the good wine first, but there was better wine that Yahusha made. Well, I don't know. It technically was new because it was made right there in a moment, but it tasted better than the old. I'm gonna just give this a shot, guys. I'm giving it a shot. I'm trying here. I'm trying. No man having drunk old wine immediately desires new, for he says the old is better. Yeah, that's the web version. If I go to the ISR, it says, "And no one having drunk old wine is immediately desires the new, for he says the old is better." I don't know, but a thought in my mind would be there's people that, I don't know, I'm going to stick with what I said first. You can't receive what Yahusha is doing if you're stuck on the old. Yeah. I mean, the guests, the people in that wedding, they were able to recognize, yo, this wine is better. Okay. This is not saying that doesn't happen, like both happens. Both are a reality. Just like there are people who receive Yahusha and there are people who don't. It's just that simple. Both realities will always exist until the new heaven and new earth. There's always going to be a choice, and people are going to choose the wrong path. But there are some people that just can't. There are Christians who can't come into this more excellent way because they are used to and enjoy what they're familiar with, and they will stay stuck there. Likewise, there are Jews and Old Testament only folk that will stick to what they're used to. They're not ready for something new. They want to stay stuck with the old. I don't know. That's the only way I can match this last verse up and what it has to do with everything else that was spoken before. Yahusha's coming to do something new. That's what the New Testament, these gospel letters are all about. It's showing the ministry of Yahusha. He's coming to bring something new to his people, and a lot of people won't receive it. There's going to be rejection, and only a few will receive it. A remnant will receive it. Milo? Along the lines? All righty. I think that was it. Matthew chapter 9, verse 14 to 17. Stop there.